Hi everybody, it's Alyce-Kay Ruckelshaus, and I don't have a lot of time because I have to start work pretty soon, but I just wanted to work on this a little bit, and like I said yesterday, it's just easier if I have you guys with me. My parents are on their way here and should get here tonight. I'm not sure if I'll see them tonight or not. It'll just depend on how tired we all are. And so anyway, so I just have like about 20 minutes that I can work on this, but if you don't mind being with me, I would love it. Someone had asked me to tell about how we met and how long we were married and everything, and I will do that later. I would love to talk about that. I just don't have enough time right now. But before I forget, in the last video, you guys, I don't know if anybody paid any attention to this detail or not, but I said we got married February 14th. No, we got married December 14th. And that was kind of a cool thing too. You know, when Bill and I first met online, we met on June 6th, and there's a whole story behind that I'll tell you that's very cool, but not today. Anyway, so we met on June 6th, and then the first time that we talked on the phone was June 16th, and again, another whole fun story behind that, which I'm not going to tell right now. But June 17th, when he was going to call me back, that day was my 30th anniversary of when I got married originally to my first husband. And that was hard. It was actually good that we got divorced, but you know, divorce is hard. That's just it. That's all I'm going to say. Divorce is hard. It's very hard, and there was a lot of healing that I needed from that. Well, that day, and this had, nothing to do with Bill that I knew of, but that day I had posted a thing on Facebook about how, I finally had gotten to the place where I could actually be grateful for my first marriage, and that's because, for one thing, I learned a lot from it, and I grew a lot. I was a lot closer to God because of that than I think I would have been if I hadn't been through that. When you go through hard things, that does help your faith. And man, this glue, I don't know what's going on. And anyway, so and I was thankful for that my kids that resulted from that marriage, and so there was just a lot to be thankful for, and I'm trying to figure out why this is clogged. So I had posted that, and it was just kind of like I was finally getting some closure on that first marriage, is I think what it was. And of course Bill didn't see that or anything. We hadn't, I don't think that we had become friends on Facebook yet. I'm pretty sure we hadn't. And so he hadn't seen that. Well, anyway, so that night, June 17th, which was my 30th anniversary of my marriage to my first husband, Bill told me that he loved me. And it was just, I didn't realize it until a few days later that it was that same day. But it was like a day that had kind of a bad memory for me because my marriage wasn't good. And God took that day and he redeemed it. And then what was kind of cool was Bill and I didn't really have a wedding per se. We, Quakers marry each other, and Bill's Quaker. And so we married each other. We didn't have, a wedding. We did get married by the not justice of the peace, the court clerk, a little bit later to make it so it was legal. So, we could visit each other in the hospital and that kind of thing. But we married each other. And anyway, it just so happened, we didn't really set the date for that, but it was like when he came out to pick me up from Minnesota, he was driving a pickup truck and I was driving my car, and he waited for me at Menominee, Wisconsin at the at the rest stop. And he said, let's say our vows here. And so that was when we married each other. And anyway, it turned out that day was December 14th, which was, besides being my father's birthday, which was very cool, it was also the 10th anniversary of my divorce to the day. So I was a single woman, a single mom, for exactly 10 years to the day. So that was kind of cool. And then we drove, back through Pennsylvania, and a few other states, Illinois, I think Ohio, I think. We drove to Maryland, and the day that we arrived was December 17th, which was the anniversary of when my ex-husband and I first went on our first date. So it was just kind of cool because it was like God was redeeming all those dates that, were stuck in my mind because they had originally been special, but now they were kind of bad dates. And, it was, I don't think it was coincidence that all those things happened on those days. It was just God working things out. So, anyway, since I have a little bit of time, I did want to say one other thing that, and I'm sorry I'm saying so much, and I'm kind of talking slow, and I'm not very energetic. I hope you all understand that that's because I'm just really going through a lot right now. So at least I'm not breaking down into tears. And what was I going to say? Oh my gosh. Oh, this is so bad. Anyway, it was something about grieving. I'm trying to be really open and transparent about what I'm going through, so that those of you who want to know what it's like so that you can minister to other people, and those of you who are going through something know that. And that's why I'm recording these. That's part of the reason why I'm recording these now while I'm actually going through it instead of later. And I'm not talking about the stages of grief or anything like that. There are so many videos about that, and frankly, I'm not ready to hear about that right now either. I kind of know what they are, but I don't care about psychological stuff right now. But what I was saying is that I'm trying to be just like really transparent and let you guys see exactly what it's like, to the best of my ability, and that's why I'm doing this as I'm going through it. What you're not seeing is that I can go from being, laughing about something or just being okay to crying and wailing in 1 second flat, and that's not going to come out on a video, I don't think, hopefully. So I just wanted to let you know about that, in case you're experiencing that. That is, from what I've heard from other people that I've talked to too, that's just kind of normal. And and the first couple days I screamed a lot. I mean, it was just like so painful. It wasn't like screaming from anger, and it wasn't screaming from terror. It was screaming because I was hurting so much, and because the loss of Bill is just so overwhelmingly horrific and painful. I couldn't not scream. It just like comes out of you, and and so I want you to know that that's normal too. And I've talked to other women who have lost their husbands, and they've said the same thing. Women that I would never ever imagine screaming. It's just because you have this horrible pain, and it just kind of keeps recurring over and over and over as it just hits you again and again and again. He's gone, and it's torn out of your chest, and that's really what it feels like. It just feels like something is torn out of your chest, and it's not only emotionally painful, it's physically painful. And I don't know, I just thought of this. I don't know if this is why, but God says that the two become one. I don't know, maybe it's that you're having that ripped apart or something, I don't know, but I have never experienced such pain in my life, and I've given birth 5 times. Physical pain as well as emotional pain, and so I wanted you to know that that's normal, and if you're screaming, I think that's probably good. I think that we need that in order to be able to cope, in order to be able to get past it and stuff. Ooh, I just saw this yarn, and I was thinking I might do some of that around it later. Not right now. I don't have time. I've got to start work in 15 minutes. I've got to teach. And that's one thing too, is that I'm teaching this week, and I have said on YouTube that I'm teaching because I think it will help me and blah blah blah. No, actually I'm teaching because I'm worried about money. Because I don't really, that's another thing, when your husband dies, especially if he's the one who's been taking care of the finances, and Bill did a great job taking care of the finances, but I don't know exactly where we are. And that's super, super common. And so, and we were really tight. So financially. So, I'm worried. So I'm working, and that's so hard. You need some time off. If you can possibly get some time off, please take it if they offer you time off. I don't get paid for my time off because I'm an independent contractor. So the only way I can get money is to work. And so I'm doing that. I'm not working as many hours as I normally do. I normally teach 10 classes every morning, 6 days a week. And then in the evenings, at least 2 days a week, I teach 5 classes. And then sometimes I take extra classes here and there. But because we had planned for me to go with him, I had blocked off that week, and I hadn't taken any classes. And then at the last minute, when it turned out that we couldn't find somebody to take care of the animals, and I was going to have to stay home, I went ahead and opened up classes. And I didn't open up my whole schedule. I opened up from the latest, and then as people booked those, then I booked higher and higher, because I didn't want to get up at 4:30 and then teach one class and not teach anything else or something. So so of course when this happened, the next day, I had clarity of mind to close out anything that hadn't been booked. So I'm not teaching a lot, and it's kind of good, because that way I'm not like shocked with the schedule next week when I go back to my full schedule, because I'm already booked for that, so I can't really do much about that. So I'm just teaching a few classes. Like one day I taught 5, one day I taught 6. Today I'm teaching 2, and then I have an hour break, and then I'm teaching 3. Sunday I'm teaching 8. And it's hard, and I think it would be hard going back to any job. My job in particular, I'm working with children who are in another country, and so and it's really important that I be upbeat and happy and smiling all the time and energetic, and that's really hard. That's really hard. I've always kind of thought of it as not just a teaching job, but an acting job, and that has helped a lot, because I'm just like, I act, and I've got that smile on my face, and I think I look pretty genuine, and I think that I look fairly energetic, probably not as much as usual, but I look fairly energetic. And but then the second that the camera goes off, I'm trying not to cry, because I don't want to have puffy eyes for the next class, but I kind of break down and then I pull myself back together. It is hard to stay focused. Fortunately, I kind of have my classes choreographed, because like I said, I think of it as almost an acting job in some respects. And so I've kind of choreographed my classes. I mean, I don't mean like I've sat down and done that, but I've done most of these classes so many times that I know exactly what's coming, and I kind of have my way of doing it. I have a routine. My students are used to my routine. I have, I can do it without too much problem. So that has been good, even though I otherwise I'm not very focused. I've been able to do that. I did lose my focus a couple times yesterday, and suddenly realized that the kid had been answering all wrong answers, and so I said, okay, now look at this again. Are you sure that this is right? Otherwise, if I hadn't noticed until a second later, I might have just let it go. So it was a little hard because I did realize, okay, I've lost my focus. So I need to stay focused. And if any of you are seeing this as I'm going through it, I would so appreciate your prayers for that. Next week is just going to be really, really hard because I have a full schedule. And, and still going through all this and still trying to figure out what my routine is going to be during the day. I can't just go back to my regular routine because Bill and I were home all the time. He had recently taken a part-time job at Walmart in the evenings, but we had our routine for who did what and everything, and we never really sat down and said, okay, I'm going to do this, you do this. It just kind of happened. And so there are probably things that he did that I'm not even completely aware of, and I don't want those things to slip through the cracks. And plus I'm having to do his things and my things, and it's just a lot on my plate, and trying to get used to doing all those things, and having to adjust some of them. I mean, the dogs and cats are used to being fed at 5 o'clock in the morning because that's when we get up. Well, I get up at 4:30, but he gets up at 5 usually. Sometimes he gets up at 4:30 and feeds them then. They're used to being fed early in the morning is my point. But like he and I talked about before he left, if I start at 5 in the morning, it would not be good to feed the animals at 4:30, and then I don't have a chance to let them out until 10 when I get off. And so, he and I decided it would be best for them to wait to eat until 10. They've got kibble and everything, so they're not going to starve. But to give them their, we have this whole elaborate thing that we give them. So anyway, so it's an adjustment for the animals too. I have found though that they seem to be eating better, or at least they're eating more since this change of routine. So that's kind of interesting. But it's a learning curve for all of us, and the animals are definitely aware of something going on. We have a couple of feral cats that we feed outside, and they're both very skittish. They have not come anywhere near us. Sunday, the day that Bill died, he had gone out to feed them in the morning because he always fed them in the morning, and then I fed them around noon, and then in the evening, just dry kibble, and we have water for them. And the one cat, the orange one, who had been the most skittish, had actually come up onto the porch and stood behind the planter looking at him, so like 3 feet away, and that was amazing. Well, the next day after Bill died, I went out there in the morning to feed them, and she came right up to me. She stood at my feet. Now I tried to bend down and pet her, and she ran off just like a few feet, but while she was standing at my feet, she was looking up at me and meowing, and we had never heard her meow either. And she was looking at me and just really trying to communicate something with me. And it was so sad and heartbreaking because I think that either she knew that I was sad, or maybe she heard my screaming, I don't know, or she was wondering what was going on because somebody different is feeding her and his truck wasn't there, and she always liked to go under his truck and stuff. I don't know, but it was just, she's definitely communicating something to me. And the other dogs noticed too. Penny, our big dog, has tried to give me hugs a few times, and she's licked my face and everything. And Eli he was Bill's dog for many years, and he's definitely depressed, and he's elderly, and I'm worried that I'm going to lose him soon too. And anyway, so those are just some of the things that I'm dealing with and going through, and I'm sorry to have to end this abruptly, but I have to teach in 5 minutes, and I want to use the bathroom first. So I love you all, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.